There are, I always say three, yeah, because there are three things that are constant, the unchangeable laws of creation in all things. And one of those things are you cannot have ultimate expression of freedom with a limitation. And so when you really feel into that statement, your soul here right now, even when you leave it, is not limited. There's no limitations placed on you of that which you can do based off your will. And what your will is your will of your soul. Pretty much whatever it desires to do has the authority to do so. And by limiting the soul, then automatically you put judgment on that soul. And then you also break the other law of the universe, which is you cannot have unconditional love with a judgment. So you cannot say you're unconditional loving, but then condemn and judge somebody for doing their ultimate expression of freedom. Because at the same time, the universe is not dictating that soul. That soul is the consciousness which is dictating the universe and creation all around it. Do you see what I mean? Yeah.
Run that back. Say that again. So just slower. Yeah, go again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just that last bit. Just the last bit about the person in the universe and the.
Yeah. Okay. So your soul, the universe is not dictating your soul consciousness, your soul being consciousness. Your soul, your consciousness is the dictator of the universe. And usually ask it as a question. Do you believe that the universe dictates consciousness or consciousness dictates the universe?
It's interesting because my mind is having a boundary problem here because I do identify somewhat there is consciousness that we're experiencing. But then nonetheless, it feels all of a sudden the way we've framed it up in the conversation is like, okay, but then my consciousness is dictating what's happening in the universe. But then this concept of my gets a bit slippery because then it's like, well, what about yours? What about the next person's? What about the next person's? You know, there's a collective experiencing that we're having.
There is a collective experience, but each individual soul is creating their own experience. Me and you right now could be in the same room having the same exact experience, but we will experience it two different ways based off the consciousness of where we are.
Yeah, siblings. This happens to siblings all the time. This buzzes me out. Like now that I'm a little bit older, you reflect back and I'm listening to like grandparents and like in the family talk about like different relative members and they've got completely different recounts of their personality types, what happened in what situation. And I'm like, were you guys in the same situation? They're like, yeah, legit. And I was like, I can't believe there's like two very different stories happening right here. It's a total trip. It's a total trip.
Yeah. I mean, you take a toy away from a child, the child's going to have a breakdown. You take it away, that same toy away from an adult, it's not really going to care. So that's the same experience experienced in two different ways based off the consciousness of that individual.
Talking about experiences being experienced a different way, I think there's a question for present, and maybe you can answer that, is like when you're traveling through having these out-of-body experiences, and I think there's probably more space where I should be asking more questions about the actual experiences and what they feel like. But nonetheless, if you're traveling out there, is it disconcerting for you when you're moving through realms and potentially meeting angels, or like, do they see you? Do you see them? And that would be the natural question. But then the question I've got, this is how trippy I can be, sorry about this, or not sorry, is it disconcerting for them to meet a human? Like, do they look at you and go, hey, where'd you come from? Like, yeah. Does it go both ways?
No, because they hold no greater authority than you. Like you right now, if you were to die and meet one of these beings, they hold no greater authority over you. The only thing that they do, because they understand the three laws of the universe. You can't have unconditional love with a judgment, ultimate expression of freedom with a limitation, nor can you, or consciousness dictates the universe. So all they do is they recognize the spark and the divinity of God within you. There's no difference. It's not like, oh, you are human, because we're not human. You could say even the angels right now, we even hold all of the DNA from the 12 realms within the physical body. That's why we have 12 helix DNA. That's why we have 12, 13 dimensional structures within the brain, because the body has all of that, you could say, that within it. So yeah, it's not like that. Yeah, it's very, very, you meet them, they recognize you. And sometimes based off the individual soul, because just because a soul comes here doesn't mean that somehow they're lower either, because some souls have come here with such, I'm going to use this word lightly, but masters in a sense, just based off the accumulation of experience, and they're here. And so when they leave here, they're not looked upon as, or anybody as, oh, you are below. It's 100% equal through and through. And it's very physical. It's the out of body state, man, is it's more physical than what you experience here right now in physical life. And the best way to understand that is, through your very, you said, I don't know if you said analytical, but you said engineering. Yeah. Okay. So, the brain could only decode a certain portion of the light spectrum. Yeah. And so we call this
0.003%, something very slivery. It's just a sliver that we've got.
You could expand this to more. The physical body can access more. But right now, majority of the population is only accessing that small portion of it. And we call this very real, very physical. But when you leave the body, you are seeing all of it again. You're accessing everything. You're accessing the potentialities of time. You're accessing thoughts. You're accessing the true state of you. And that is more real, more physical than what you would ever experience here. So, yeah. No, just when you say what that is, that's what it is. It's very physical, man. You'll be touching your soul hands and experiencing it as if it's very, very real. And then when you go back into the body, real doesn't even feel real, because you could say experienced real again for the second time, born again for the second time, understanding that is the real home, your real state. You see? Yeah.
Is an out-of-body experience similar to a near-death experience? Are they one and the same? How does, in your
absolutely the same. Yeah, absolutely the same. There's no difference between these two things. And when you look at it has been actually pretty challenging for me to try to re-educate people on this, because it's come from a place of, when you think of out of body, you think of astral. And I've been trying to re-educate this process of this is not what it is. Because when someone has a near-death experience, their soul's leaving their body, 100%. When you have a true out of body state, you're 100% out of your body. So you don't necessarily say to somebody that has a near-death experience, oh, you just astral projected to the other side. It would sound comical, ridiculous. You see, so the only difference with the out-of-body state and the near-death is the near-death, you are essentially, the body's dead.
Hey there, Inspired Evolutionary. If you absolutely loved this, well then here's a full conversation with this guest on the Inspired Evolution podcast. Check it out now.